Welcome to the official AFL Fantasy podcast with the Traders.
G'day with the Traders. I'm Rory, I coach Destroy, and I'm here with Warnie.
Coach of the Warn Dogs.
And Calvin.
Coach of Calvinita. Up and about.
Up and about, right?
What?
Today, we're having a look at the midfield, which I reckon it's as interesting as the midfield layout has been for a number of seasons. There's so many strategies you could roll with, and hey, we're going to break them all down right here, right now.
We know what the right one is at this stage either. That's
correct.
The thing, because I'm seeing a lot of stuff that is quite different across the board.
Yeah, and usually,
the way you want to do it.
Like traditionally, we say, this is the right way. This is how we're all doing it.
Well, maybe by the end of this podcast, it will be right.
Well,
so
100%.
That's what we've got. But yeah, we're seeing a lot of different things. So if we go back to the team that is the most popular team, Calvinator. Made
shameless plugs.
Well, no.
Who wrote it?
This is changing, probably evolving a little bit now because of the names that were there, and it is over a week old now. But
is it a good article?
It is.
Getting good clicks?
Go and get onto it.
Jeez.
Anyway, how that came up, because of where we see, I think probably a lot of our teams are built from those rookies up, but the rookies are the popular ones. They're the ones that have been picked first and the most selected ones. You know, your Lawlers, the Jagger Smiths, Sid Draper.
Do they dictate the structure to your team?
Do they really? Right. Anyway, they're the sort of guys that are there. But then what we're seeing from this team, Nick Daicos is M1. Now, I will categorically say he won't be my M1 this year.
Yeah, I'm with you on that.
No, not to start with.
No.
Target.
Ashcroft at 843k comes up as M2.
Wow.
So, like, that's a discounted player. Well, when I say discounted, a cheaper player there as the second
that is
one.
Interesting.
And then it goes into Clary as the M3. Where does he sit for you? He's a 4 in most iterations of the world.
About 4, yeah.
But I'm definitely a lot heavier than Ashcroft as a 2.
Yeah.
And I don't have Ashcroft.
No.
Well, both the first two guys have early buys.
Yep.
Yes.
So Clary Oliver, though, we're all on. And that's just a layup pick,
I think so.
At this stage, anyway.
Look, I saw him the other day, Roy, in a photo. And look, he looked pasty. That's fine.
That's all right. Nothing
but
a bit of...
There was
board.
Yep. Muscle definition.
You should hit him up with whatever tan you used for the AFL record sheet.
Yes, Cow.
It's called
that
Sun.
was such an even spread. I was really proud of how you applied that.
It's called Sun.
Did you self-apply?
No.
Someone did it for you?
No, it's just Sun. Go outside for once, you pasty white. Look at you.
So then that team
Anyway, it's an easy fix for Clary. That's a mile.
That's it.
has Will Day at M4, then Isaac Cummings. So you got those two, 3 if you want to call Clary there with that, but those more mid-pricey options with Cumming, sort of the cheaper of those guys, because you got a few in that 600k range as well. So that's where that's sitting. 3 rookies on field and obviously the 2 on the bench. So that is where the consensus team is. But why it sort of looks like that is because people are picking and choosing. It's not like this is a structure that everyone's going for at all. So maybe we start, Cal, your team. What does your midfield look like at the moment?
Keep your grubby eyes off it,
Well, you released it on AFL.com.au the other day, and people were like going, oh my God, Calvinator.
Okay.
So...
Right. So, you're right. Clary does come in at M4, but ahead of him, I've got Jordan Dawson, Connor Rozee, and Timmy Time Taranto at the moment.
Right.
Okay, so all guys, I think, who offer a little bit of value.
Yes.
And who also don't have the early buy.
So I've got Rozee and Taranto currently with, instead of Dawson that you've got there, I've got a Brayshaw. And I reckon Roy's on a similar wavelength.
Yeah, I've actually got Bont Brayshaw.
So you've gone even bigger.
Yes.
Whoa.
And then after that, it goes Doherty.
Yeah, I've got him too.
Into the 3 rookies. And you can have anyone there that you want.
What's your structure like on that then, Roy?
So I've actually only got I've only got two
rookies.
Two rookies because I've squeezed the value of Doherty and Chera.
Okay.
Just to go with your Blues.
Mate, they've got that first game, versus Richmond.
They do.
And I've got about 7 or 8 Blues in my team, and I reckon I'll get off to a flame.
You'll be winning.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, so that's what it's looking like. So structure-wise, we always look for value, and I think coaches are very attuned to that and knowing what they want to try to achieve. We've got probably a lot of guys around the $1 million mark that we're hoping can be. So that's basically, let's call them priced at about 100 that we think can be 105 plus. Is that probably a safe thing to say? And there's a few guys. So we mentioned Rozee.
Yes, he's
and
definitely
Tim
one.
Taranto. They're the sorts of plays that you're probably looking at there. Could you have those types of players to start it off and avoid a Brayshaw, avoid a Bont, avoid a Dawson?
Yes, you could. Big time. Especially on someone like a Timmy, who comes in an average of 95 after the first year at Richmond, where he basically made my captain job redundant, Roy.
Yeah, first half of the year he did.
So, there's definitely value for him, and he finished the season with a big score as well.
Yeah.
So
it's an interesting one. So I've looked at structures where I have had, for example, Rozee and Taranto, say, M1 and 2.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
And, God, the rest of your field looks so strong with that. If those boys can step up and be within reach of your Brayshaws and things like that. Because if they can't, you're missing out on a lot. And I've seen a bit of Taranto spending time forward in match sim and stuff like that.
Yep.
If that happens, the guys spending up on a Brayshaw will probably come out and have a couple of 120s.
Yep.
That's a big gap you're leaving.
It is.
The issue with Taranto for me is just that Richmond thing. Like, I think I joked about it saying, does anyone average over 90? Well, is there a world where even 95, like maybe that 95 is what he does?
Is where they're at.
Gosh, and that's what he did in that second half of that epic season.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's so game style dependent though, isn't it? Like we have seen snouted ones still average huge scores in like the midfield of a team that's getting flogged every week.
Yep.
But will their structure allow that? I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
Who's the Richmond expert?
Me.
Well, tell us.
Yeah, well, that's it. I think he will be a 105 guy.
Thank you.
Oh, well, then he's a lock.
He's not a lock at 105.
Yes, he is.
It's only 10 points.
Yes, but a 105, puts him in the top 10?
Yeah, but he's in my team. He's in the team.
Oh, 105, he's in my team.
There you go.
Anyone else at the top end worth talking about, Cal?
Only the guys, I think, that don't have an early buy, who are some premiums that offer a little bit of value.
Yeah.
Okay, so, yes, you've got your Andy Bray with a 105 next to his name.
Yeah.
Sarong, 104. Now, he's in 6% of teams, but we're on the Brayshaw more than the Sarong.
We are. So, last half of the year, Brayshaw averaged, I think it was about 113.
Yeah.
So, he's going to get back to that 110 minimum. I think he's the one.
So, if we're talking Rozee, we'll talk Butters because he doesn't have to buy either. So, that's 106 for Butters last year, up from 100 from the year before, 6% ownership.
Now, they've got a good early buy, don't they? A good start to the season.
They do.
Yes. Yeah.
So, yes, he could be an option. I can't see him going under that 106. So, maybe.
But you're going Rozee over him for the value.
For the value, I think we are.
If you're splitting hairs, you just go with the cheaper one, don't you?
Yeah.
In like a situation like that?
Dawson, as I said, 105 last year, down from his 113. Only 4% of teams have locked him in. Jack Steele's there after going that 107. Well, that's huge. So in his last 4 years, he's got 3 awesome averages in there.
Yeah.
And that one blemish, which was that 98 2 years ago. So he's elite. And the only one I'm talking about here is Bond. So Bond at 107, down from a 117.
10 down.
10 down.
That's why he found his way into my team.
No early buy.
Yep.
Last year, we were jumping on him at that 117. A bit of FOMO.
Yeah, it was stupid.
It was stupid.
But there was a reason we did it. That's the thing.
Yep.
And it was only 12 months ago.
Bond's going to be interesting. Bulldogs are going to be interesting. Obviously, Trelaw's been announced that he's out for quite a while. I think, pushing, he'll probably be out the first half a dozen weeks of the season. So, does that mean Bond will need to play that mid? Not like he didn't
So that's
sort of
the
take
thing.
a hit with CBAs anyway. Like, he was still big.
Last year, he was still 75% CBAs.
He still just spent more time forward.
And then he just goes. So it's an interesting one, Bont, but they need him playing in the middle.
Who do they play first? Is it North Melbourne?
You are correct. They play North Melbourne into Collingwood.
I feel like he monsters North Melbourne
He does.
for some reason.
He does. So, yeah, he's a captain option. He's a VC that you could use early on the weekend.
And that's a part of our midfield too, that we do often have our captain options coming
But that's
from
it.
here.
So if you're going with a Taranto and a Rozee at 1 and 2, are you really clicking on them with confidence? No, you're not. But someone like a Bont, you would be.
Brayshaw.
Those guys
They're
can
in
get
the
it
mix
done.
of those captains.
So Bont, this is just a quick research, but in his last 3 versus North, he's averaging 134.
Yep.
Holy hat.
I dare say, I hate to step on your toes, but that's a captain option.
Oh, hang on a second. There's more to it than that, Roy. Jeez.
Sorry.
But captain's back in 2025.
What was that stat, Roy?
It was 134.
Yeah, 134.
Thursday night.
Write it down. Right, he's in.
Don't forget him.
Right, he's in.
Right.
But, yeah.
Let's go players that have that value under 100.
Yep.
Price, that sort of thing. We mentioned Rozee and Taranto. I think both of those guys have that upside. Rozee more so.
Who's the safer one there?
Rozee for me.
Same. Yeah.
There's just the Richmond factor is a thing there. But you can tell yourself lots of different stories.
You can.
Taranto, there's plenty of stories there that could work out all right.
Yep, and Rozee, as much as I love him, he always seems to find a way to disappoint.
Oh, mate.
Yeah, you know better than anyone.
I've got scars.
You would.
Yeah. So last year he started so well.
Yes.
So did Team Calvinator.
You did.
Chest out, strutting around.
Your season could have looked a lot different.
Yeah, and then he got his hammy, and then he wasn't going to play, but then he decided he'd play.
Oh, yes. Oh, God. No
yeah, it wasn't good. So, yeah, he's definitely... Now,
You've obviously forgiven him, though, have you?
Yeah. Everyone's got a price.
Yep, good on you.
All right, now, Petracca was someone that I've been excited about.
Yeah.
Priced at 90.
Yep.
And he's been a guy that has had a few 100-pluses.
Yeah, of course.
He had that rib injury in the pre-season, but I don't think that's going to be an issue. The only issue is almost the scars too, Cow, of... That's what derailed his season, the poor fella. King's birthday, where he's had that brutal set of injuries. So he is worth watching still. Priced at 90, he can, like these other guys we're seeing, putting 10 points on, he can do that quite easily too.
Well, I don't think it would take much in a practice match for us to swing around on Petracca. And
no early buy this year.
Yeah, and launch straight into him, to be honest.
Cal, you wrote Ed Richards here.
I did. So with Treloar obviously being out, he's going to be... getting bulk mid-time.
Which he was last year.
He was
in there as a banana.
He had a couple of games of over 90% CBAs.
Yeah, but sometimes he didn't score in those. He's a hard read.
So these are the games over 90% CBAs. He's got a 76. He's got a 141, 73. Yeah.
It's interesting.
It is. So I just think that he is one of their main midfielders this year, and I think he'll definitely improve on that 86.
Do you reckon he was supposed to be in the midfield that much, or did you just see that little red dot in the middle of the ground on Bevo's magnet board and thought that meant him?
Thought that meant to be him.
No, he's in there. That's what we're going to see. All right. We don't want premiums that have got that early buy, but there's players that we would probably pick in a normal world out of this.
Yeah.
We did it last year.
Yes, we did.
With Tom.
Yep.
Tom Green.
So trade him after 2 weeks, like Chris did.
Yeah.
But I traded Whitfield instead.
No. Is there anyone, Roy, that we think we should consider?
Tom Green. He is value at 100.
Well, that's the thing. So there's a few with the early buy that we're not going to get them, but they deserve a mention because there'll be a world where there's top 100 winners that started with one of these guys.
Yep.
And it was just like, you think, I was probably overthought to not actually start with them. But anyway, so Tom Green is the obvious one. Any world without early buys, and we would all have Tom Green. He's priced at a tick under 100.
Yep.
He's going 110, and that's what he did for the last half of the year once he eventually got over that injury. So that's why he's so cheap. As an owner, Cow, you would remember well, because I was as well, injured on 7.
Yep.
But then played that. We held him, obviously, through it, because we tend to do that. And then I think it was about a 6-week stretch where he didn't hit triple figures while he was carrying that injury. Then he finished averaging 110, which is where he's going to be at.
Yep.
So he's a bargain, but we won't do it. He's definitely a target after his buy. But then Goulden. This is the thing with Goulden for me. I feel like he's going to be attending more CBAs. So he was more of a wing pinch hitting in the midfield last year, and he can score in both spots, but on that wing, he goes missing for extended periods when his wing's cold.
He does.
And it's a very hard watch. If he can minimise the wing time and maximise the CBA time under Coxie, well, he will be I'm talking clearly the number one mid in the game. But that remains to be seen, and he stays a trade target. You love Merritt, safest player in the game, you reckon?
But you're not starting
with him. You draft him at pick 4.
Pick 4.
Pick number 1 overall in midfielders.
Oh, dear.
Anyway.
You've got to understand, you've got to learn. We've looked at your draft rankings, Cal. You've got to learn a little bit about them. Like, it's not necessarily who is going to score the most, because you might be predicting the range there. The range for merit is Toit, and he is a captain option.
Does it surprise you that Josh Dunkley averaged 107?
It does, because all I remember is bringing him in after like a 150, and I don't think he hit 100 for the next 3 weeks. So he was frustrating at the end of the season. He was actually a bad player to bring in at the end of the season, but to still get to 107 shows that he's back to dunks. Like, he's a gun. And then there's obviously Daicos, so you wouldn't go near, but...
Well, a little bit of an injury cloud starting through his pre-season, but he's back running. Yeah. So there's no issues for draft and all that.
You couldn't make an argument to start with him at 105. The only one I could really start there is Tom Green. If you can take on his buy at that price, that's cheap.
And you're hoping that he then does that 110 again like he has done.
Which I can't see any reason why he won't.
No?
No.
All right, but value is where it's at, further down, because I think there's a blanket that you could throw over a heap of players. But I reckon you're picking a couple of them.
I think you are too.
I agree.
And Clary, we spoke about before, but he's the first one. He's an automatic selection. For all of us, we've got him at M4.
Yeah.
There is then your M5 that is most likely one of these mid-priced options, which does have quite a big range these days, doesn't it, with what we're thinking about with the prices of what they could be. But and then in Roy's case, playing only 2 rookies on field in midfield, you will have a couple there. And so these guys will be in the mix. So depending on what you want to do, you could be a Clary M3er and then you're going to chuck these guys in here. Who are we liking? Give us a name that you like being there. Actually, we'll start with you, Roy.
Yeah.
Carlton.
Okay, so Carlton, I've actually got 3 in this bracket. So
I was going to say in your team from this bracket. Well, you could. You could.
Well, I do. So I think Oliver gets pushed to M4 for me because Doherty is M3, and then I've got Chera, and then I've got Hollins.
Okay.
Right. So you've got all 3?
I've got all 3.
Wow.
Yeah.
So Chera's at an average of 73, 2% ownership.
He'll go 95. Like, he's 20 unders.
His body, a concern.
Oh, yeah,
has
definitely.
been over the years.
You don't get a bargain for no reason.
That's it.
And his body is his only concern, because his ability is certainly a 95.
Did Chera go and play guitar?
What? He did. Yeah, he did. He's come back an absolute rock star.
Yep. Now, are you surprised Ollie Hollins is at 3% ownership?
Very, and I'm very happy about it.
Yep.
So he's got half back.
Yeah, he's going 90 in that role.
So taken over from Nick Newman?
Well,
with a 6-3 next to his name.
Yeah. So we got a preview of it at the end of last year in his last 3 games, and he was absolutely humming there.
Yep.
He's dominating that role in pre-season. So he was doing it last year. We were all focused on Newman because Newman was doing huge things, but Hollins was there hitting 90s and 100 as well.
Yep.
That was with Newman there. So he's going to be great. Yep.
You got those Crows boys. So Roy's got his Blues, and you got the Crows ones, which are a lot cheaper too, and that is the ex-Giants in Peatling, who's priced at 62, and Cumming priced at 56. So they are in that range where you're going, that's a nice price there for your M5, or if you were pushing further down, going to the M6.
They're both clearly 20 unders, easily, and I think that's being very conservative.
And especially like coming off his best.
Yes.
He's near 40 unders off his best.
So this is a thing we really have to consider here. Anytime you're talking someone 20 unders, you need to almost make room for them in your team. If you are that confident they're putting 20 on it, you need to be getting rid of like one of those say 2 that you're paying
Lucky
up
Rozee.
For and getting that, don't you?
We need to find out what their role is. Obviously coming back from a bit of an injury. He had a bit of a hamstring over December.
Yeah, so that's enough to put a line through him for me.
Who does tend to have a history with injuries.
Yes.
They're both very interesting ones, who have both come in and out of my team in this value pocket.
Yes. I prefer Peatling for safety out of those 2, I think.
I think so.
Dylan Shield, halfback roll, it's real. That's happening.
Roy...
I don't think you can do it. He's priced at 75.
I know, but I'm a bit with Dog on this.
What?
Yeah, like...
Don't encourage him.
He's built for that
I couldn't
role.
do it.
Zorko roll.
Well, yeah,
He's
poor
getting old.
man's.
That's what everyone's doing.
Poor man's. But, yeah, 100%.
Yeah, I think these other guys excite me a bit more because he is more on that at the top end of those mid.
I'd be getting him in. He'll slide. He'll be so deep in draft. I'd take a punt on that.
Yeah.
For some DPP.
Popular picks, Ashcroft comes in with an 82 next to his name.
Got the early buy. That hurts.
Will Day's the same. So I was on Will Day early at his average of 74. But there's just too many players around him now who don't have that buy.
Yeah.
Yep.
Now, Roy, Harley Reid.
Yes.
He's got a 67 next to his name.
It's unders. He'll average over 80, for example.
Okay.
Yeah.
Give him an 80.
I'm not getting too excited about it. No.
I don't think so.
Especially not with the others around him. But, 80 I think is fine. His floor was awful last season.
Yes, it was.
And his ceiling was less than impressive as well. 99 was his highest for the year. But I just think he'll just be, 80 will be, he's just standard games this year.
All right, let's have a look at some of the cash cows, which are those building blocks there. And we've seen this is where we normally get the best of them, don't we, in the midfield? That's because they are the ball winners and all that sort of stuff. So, and hopefully they play. That's where it is, because this is where the most likely ones are. So we can start at the number 1 pick there, Cal, Lawler. He's in, and he's in for you.
He's doing match sim. He's training at basically full-time mid.
Well,
full-time mid.
Yeah.
So, he's ready to go.
Not a massive, he's not going to be one of those knockout massive scorers.
No, he's not like a Levi Ashcroft, but he's going to play.
Yeah.
And he's going to be around the ball.
Yeah.
The knockout scorers, though, are blokes like Jagger Smith. He's probably like a little piglet, Roy.
Yeah, definitely. So the dude racked up 50 in a game last year. That's snout.
It is.
He's a walk-up who could get some sneaky scores on the board for us.
And this is where we are going to see quite a few players. Like, I reckon Sid Draper's there. We'll find out off Lairdy whether he thinks he's going to be in there coming up shortly. Levi Ashcroft, after talking to Fish last week, a little bit cooler on him that he could be the sub or whatever. But it's just, is it because Brisbane can, they will just manage, if that's the right word for it, but just, let him ease into his career.
Potentially, because, until Fish said that, I thought, no, don't be silly. He's just going straight in and getting good bulk time, really.
So there is a chance he won't make our teams. We have plenty of options here.
Yeah.
And if you notice, all these guys are expensive for rookies too. We don't really have the basement ones. Harvey Langford, so for the Ds, he's there. And I reckon Xavier Lindsay's a chance as well. So there's a couple in that. We are going to not have a rookie shortage here. But no
party
crisis.
In the studio. Yeah, nice.
But it's going to be who you pick is going to help determine a lot of stuff, I think, with these guys, because my advice would be is in your little template team at the moment, have these more expensive guys because you don't want to be caught short with cash as we're going in there. I think that's something that's important, especially for your pine. We want to have as many green dots as we can because that's where all the money's made, and then give you the options of horses for courses for playing. Smiley did a hammy, but hopefully plays a pracky game.
They hope that he plays a pracky game.
That's a big aspect.
Keep an eye on him. Better scorer than Lawler too.
Roos have got Finn O'Sullivan, could be a chance there. So, and then we can sort of look a little bit deeper as well. There's going to be some other players that might pop their heads up. We always see names come in during the pre-season. But again, it's going to be determining who and how many you fit in your side. Do you go 3 on field or 2 on field like Roy? Are you doing that? Are we finding those rookies in the other lines, which we'll have a bit more of a read on coming up in the upcoming weeks, I guess?
But opening round's great because we get it's not, but it is because we get a look at those rookies.
It's good for rookies.
Yes,
it's good for a rookie preview for sure.
Yeah, and we'll see, but how many of these midfielder ones? Probably not a heap. Actually, there's not really.
No. Ashcroft.
Ashcroft is there, So that's where we almost can have our hand forced with him. Well, the decision will be made in that game.
For us, yes.
What if he does cop a sub in that game?
Nope.
Is that a good thing or a bad thing?
That's a great question.
It's a bad thing.
Is it?
Yep. It's a bad thing.
Do you think they'd want to just sub him all the time? Or could that be just the one, there's your little sub?
First game?
You never just get one vest.
No.
See what score he gets there in that opening round as we'll put that midfield together. One of our very favourite fantasy players of all time joins us now, and it is Rory Laird. Lairdy, welcome to the show, mate.
Hey, boys. Thanks for having me back on.
We love having you because you give us plenty of insight, and we need this year heaps out of the Crows because you're probably one of the most intriguing clubs this year. You've had a few changes, and how has the pre-season been for you so far?
Yeah, no, it's been quite enjoyable. It's been quite quick, to be honest, which is actually nice at my age. I don't think I could do it like I used to be able to. It's sort of Christmas and you blink and we're sort of doing match sim and straight into some trial games soon. So, which is fun. It's not as pleasant running around the oval in 35 degrees heat. It's nice to be actually playing some games, and we had a good hit out last Friday, and we'll sort of build up into a internal trial in about 2 weeks' time.
Nice. Has that been a bit of a change? I guess you've been in the game for a while now, but are you doing more match sim and those sort of things than what you might have done at the start of your career?
Yeah, I think it's just because it's a bit more condensed. You sort of do a couple of weeks of sort of breakdown drills, and then you sort of straight into match sim, and it starts with 15 minutes, and it sort of gradually builds up to 3 or 4 quarters, and then all of a sudden we played Port in Brisbane in a couple of weeks. So it's definitely nicer, especially this time of year. The time trials are out the way, and you're actually looking forward to playing some games against some opposition.
Now, Lairdy, my heart skips a little beat here when you're on because I'm a bit of a fanboy. But let's get down to it. Where are you? Yeah, where are you playing this year? What's going on?
No, so I've sort of moved away from the midfield a little bit. I trialled it sort of at the end of last year and played the last 4 or 5 games down on the halfback flank, and it actually worked really well. We opened up a bit more for Isaac and some of these guys to spin through there, and you look at it this year too. There's a lot of guys that can sort of roll through our midfield and sort of swap up forward, and I've been playing a majority of the time down back at the moment.
Okay, Lairdy, so you're down back, right?
So round 6, are we getting DPP then? You'll get dual position status?
Yeah, that's definitely happening.
Yeah, I'd say so. I don't think I'll spend too much time in the midfield. I might have a pinch hit here and there, but depends sort of how the game's going and sort of how we're going as a team.
Lairdy, a few years ago, if you had have been moving out of the midfield to half back, I'd be like a bit devastated for you, but it's actually the flip side. I'm super excited that you get to roll back there because I think about what Dane Zorko did last year on a halfback flank, back in the All-Australian team. Some people were calling for him to retire. Next minute, he's absolutely like racking up and dominating again. If Zork can do it back there, I'm thinking Piglet Lairdy, field day incoming. What do you reckon? Are you guys going to, there's a bit of a Lions blueprint there where it all goes through a speedy little halfback's hands. Could that be you?
Well, I actually, funny enough, you say, I like to sort of look at Dane's game and sort of how he was playing it and that sort of role that he had. I like to think there's some similarities. He's a very good sort of short kick of the ball, good decision maker, and depends sort of how the team's going though. I know the Lions are a very sort of seasoned outfit in the way they were able to use the ball with some of their, kicking options out of the halfback flank. It actually allowed Dane to play his sort of way he did last year, and he dominated, as you said. He was an Australian halfback, so I think there is a few options down there too, though. We've got Hingy, we've got Brodie Smith, we've got Wayne Miller, we've got Max Michelani. So probably share it around a little bit, but I think I'll sort of be that higher sort of up the ground player. And hopefully a few kicks. Back in the day, I was doing that for a living, so it's taken me a bit to get used to. It's a bit of a swap from the midfield, but all a bit of fun, and I've been really enjoying it.
Now, Lairdy, you'll pull rank on those others for kick-ins, wouldn't you? I'm just looking here. You had three kick-ins last year. Playing on 3 times, which is elite. You got to kick Keeney out of there, Hingy and Worrell. Pull rank, mate. Take some kickings. It's a hot
footy down there, mate. It's a hot footy. I'm usually pretty high up the ground, so unless I run back 60 metres, I'm pretty gassed by then. So I might get a few here and there, but I know the boys like kicking out, so I'll probably be a bit more Keeney and Hingy, but I might pull rank on a couple. Maybe I'll say games played or older statesman gets kicking every now and then.
Fair enough.
So that midfield then, so it's got a Laird-sized hole there, I guess, that we've got now. If you're saying who would be the first picked players in there when the first magnets go on the board for round 1, who are the guys that we'll see in there, do you reckon?
I reckon Jackie Soligo showed a lot of promise last year and sort of had his first full year of playing inside mid. And I know he was sort of a bit sore, and it's sort of a bit of a learning curve at the end of the year for him when he, had to sort of endure that full match for the, every game, I should say, for the whole year. And but he hasn't missed a step this off-season. He's a seriously good player. Isaac will play up through there like he did last year. He sort of tore a few games apart. I think you got some of the mainstays in there like Crouchy and Dawson. then there's like a 4 or 5 player sort of mix and match in there. You can sort of throw in, James Peatling, Isaac Cummings, Sid Draper. There's probably a few more as well that I'm missing. That you've got a big sort of bunch of players that can rotate through there. Josh Rochelli's another one. So I can't really give you like a blueprint on it, but it's sort of like a mix and match, and there will be some constants in there as you need a little bit of continuity, but there's a lot of sort of variety we can have as a team.
It's interesting because you guys have picked up some players this year, which we do think they're sort of best 22 type players. Like Peatling showed a fair bit last year for the Giants. I guess you guys are excited about him. Is he basically training as a midfielder? Yeah,
he's training as a mid. A little bit forward as well. It's sort of that mix and match. I think he did that last year with the Giants. You sort of see him pop up forward and kick 2 or 3 goals. So he's got a really good goal sense as a mid, and I think you want to sort of not take away from his craft around the stoppages, but, when he looks up forward and he's actually popping up for goals, he's got a bit of a nous up there. So Alex Neil-Bourne's another one too. He sort of played that high half-forward role at Melbourne, but I know he played a little bit of inside stuff and, helped out with some of their structures they had with, Petracca and the likes of that going forward. So there's something else we can look at. And, he's been fantastic as well. Just on and off field, he's really brought a different dynamic to the group. So it's some ready-made players, which is really exciting.
So what did Isaac Cumming, what's his role this year? Is he going to be on the wing, half-back? Where's he fit?
Yeah, it's sort of another thing. Like it's still early stages with Isaac. He did his hamstring really bad, and then he's come back and just started coming back into some of the matching stuff. So it's probably a bit of a mix and match there too. Like we've got, Hingy that played a bit of wing and half back, and then Isaac does that as well. And, he's gone inside a little bit as well. So it's sort of this variety and mix and match, which can actually be really beneficial for us in terms of positional swaps and needs for the team each week. So I definitely think, a little bit higher up the ground for Isaac though too.
Yeah, as I said, very intriguing. You guys are going to be such an interesting watch.
Everyone's playing everywhere.
Yeah. And one of your team's best friends sounds like the versatility across the list, but probably captain versatility is Captain Jordan Dawson. Now, he's in the mix as, a potential M1 for teams because when he is playing that mid-role, as you're aware, he can score as well as anyone in the game. Just his versatility hurts from a fantasy perspective sometimes because when there's a hole that needs to be patched, he seems to have the ability to go there, but it can dry up his scoring a little bit. What I'm trying to say is if he is a 75 to 80% CBA guy, he's actually going to be underpriced at his 105 average. What do you see Jordan doing this year?
Yeah, I think you pretty much done my job for me there, mate. He is predominantly an inside mid, and you've seen the last couple of years, as an All-Australian in that position and plays that really well for us. And I dare say it's spent majority of the time in there. But the thing is, as you guys have seen and our fans have seen, is something needs to be done in the team. The size that he has just gives the versatility. So I know he spent time as a deep forward last year at times, and then he plays sort of an extra down back at times, or he plays as an actual half back, and then he even switched down the wing a few times last year. So it is his strings to his bow. He's got a sort of a Mr. Fix-It role, and as you guys say, in terms of fantasy relevance, that can take a hit from his consistency inside. But in terms of the team stuff, he's sort of that's his sort of mantra, and he'll sort of play wherever he needs to for the team each week. And but in saying that, majority of the time he will spend inside, as you've sort of seen over the past couple of years.
He's a good player. He's very, very good.
He just needs to be in the middle more, Roy.
He does.
59% CBAs last year is not enough. Not enough.
But then he had some big games, like the first start of the season, he's there 84, 86, 82%.
Yeah.
Like, that's where he started. Yes. Like, that's where we'd love to see him. Anyway, you guys have added those players, but you also added a very good-looking rookie there, and we're pretty excited to see what's going to happen with Sid Draper. Well, he's good looking as a fantasy football player, Calvin.
Oh, no,
just because you think about everyone's looks because you're so shallow all the time.
It's personal.
Escalated.
But anyway, Sid Draper looks great as a footballer.
Thank you.
Early pick and all that sort of stuff. How's he settled in? Is he looking all right for you, from your eyes?
Yeah, mate. He's a cute kid, as you'd say. No, he's it's amazing. I was actually talking to someone about it the other day. Just the change over the years of these draftees being AFL ready and sort of AFL mag coming out of these under 18 systems, just in terms of the requirements it takes in terms of recovery, strength and conditioning, just a bit of a knowledge of the game, which was completely different to when I played. I remember I stepped in and I had absolutely no idea what was going on. I was, pretty far off it, but Sid's come in straight away. His body, he's actually built some muscle there. He's obviously got the speed and agility and explosiveness, which is a great trait that sort of mixes well with some of our big-bodied mids like Dawson, Crouchy, and he's had a few sort of niggling issues over the summer, which is just his body, and I think it's actually just ramping up the training. Is so determined to get out there and actually do everything that he's sort of been pulled back at times just to say, no, we're sort of easing you into a few things here. But we did some matching the other day, and, he doesn't look out of place. I think that's sort of a product of being played in the sample last, back half of the year and actually playing against some of these bigger bodies. So, really, really exciting prospect. And I dare say you'll see him sort of slip into the AFL system without too many hiccups. He's pretty well adjusted already.
Nice. He's the most selected Crow overall, 50%. And then it's Dan Curtin. So do you expect him to build on his 7 games he played last year? Where's he fit in it all?
Yeah, mate, he's a massive dude. He's just, the way he's sort of, he's 9'10", he's a monster. So he's sort of like Dorso, because he's so big, he sort of plays up around the stoppage and you can't tackle him, but then he sort of spends a bit of time up forward. And I know I'm sort of giving out a lot of mix and matches here, but it's sort of the way we've trained over the summer, and Dan's sort of done that, split role, and but the way he can sort of find the footy, I think he's got a bit more confidence in himself to be able to go and hunt the ball. And if he gets the ball, there's literally no one on our team that's tackling him. You might get Dorse or Fogg even that gets him sometimes, but there's not too many at his size and his sort of agility and strength around the ball that can actually bring him down. So definitely he looks great. He looks super fit. I know he had a few issues, as I said, adjusting to the AFL last year and getting sort of his body right, but he's super fit and healthy at the moment. So,
flying.
Watch out for the first couple of games with him.
And is he good looking?
Mate, he's a very good looking guy. Very good looking guy.
Ian, so he'll play straight up. He's in the best 22?
I think so, yeah. The way he's been going and sort of how we've sort of structured up, I think he'd be around the mark at least. And I think he'd definitely look to do in those 7 games from last year.
Well, Lairdy, that's been some great intel. So thank you so much for that, and we appreciate you being here as the best looking Crow on the list.
Hands down.
I was waiting for that.
No, you're a legend, mate. Good luck with everything, and we look forward to having you in our teams as a defender.
Yeah, pick it up back there, Lairdy.
It's going to be nice.
No worries, guys. Thanks for having me on. It's always good to have a chat.
We are ranking our players for draft, and that's draft season is just about here. We're getting our draft kit very close to being out, and we're getting excited about when our draft day is. So make sure you make all your plans for that. And if you haven't gone and set up your league, go to fantasydraft.afl.com.au and download that new app to get everything happening. But we have a look at our midfield rankings. So Cal, Bont is your number 1.
Bont is 1.
Is it because of his hot start versus North?
Talk me out of it.
Well, you've almost talked me out of it by not picking him in your team.
Yeah, I just couldn't quite squeeze him. But it's still early. I could squeeze him back in.
Yeah, okay.
But Roy, you've gone with Errol as your number 1, and I've gone with Zach, which you guys don't like. However, you both have him at your 3rd.
Yeah.
Okay. So
he's top 3, but he's clearly below those 2.
Clearly.
Easily.
What?
Just let him go in there and let him be your captain each week. Just
okay.
Let it happen.
Oh, look, it's not the worst pick you've ever made, but that says more about the other picks.
But you do have a fair bit. Like, you're going to get a good M1 and even M2 when you are drafting.
You will.
And you can leave them, you can hold on them. Like, maybe if a lot are going and you've got those captains on, you want that safe midfielder captain option. You might want to try to jump on one when you might have wanted to hit another position. But the value's going to come here a lot. Like, we've talked about a couple of these players throughout, and like Petracca, for example.
Yes.
He's 35th ranked on average last year.
Unbelievable.
He's better than that. So, you know, we've all put him up inside the top 20.
Yes.
So this is what you do with your draft rankings and how you move them. Roy, like, obviously he is deep. So he's 80th on his average, that 73 average. predicting. You've put a bit of a 90 next to his name, so you've ranked him. So he's inside the top 40. He becomes like we normally roll with because it's a good size for us, and especially Calvin's attention span. The 3-4-1-3.
Yes,
we like to do that. So that sort of.
So he's someone, that I definitely eye off.
Yeah,
late.
So. Yeah, they're the sorts of players that you do want to have a look at. Where you're doing, okay, you just stuffed up my whole thing there by changing that.
Sorry, mate, I was just having a look.
I like to. Well, I've already banged on about it, but there's those 3 blues you get real late. Yeah. So you get Doc, Chera, and Ollie Hollands. You get him probably for your bench, but with the hope of that DPP, and then he's in the mix.
People are getting switched on a lot more, though, aren't they? With, they are. When they're adjusting those ranks, like a Will Day, for example. Yeah. 73rd on average, though, with that 74, and because he went that 95 the year before.
He's a jet.
We've all got him in, mid-30s as a range, and that's where you're going to find those players. So you're always going to, hopefully, be able to find someone.
Yeah.
That's the thing. So you can leave some of those, but it does get a little bit dire as you get towards the end there. If you are going that deeper midfield in your draft lineup.
Yeah, with captains on, you want to get a gun straight up.
Yeah,
and you want a top 10 to 20 midfielders, so you can,
and then you can just sit back a bit on them.
You can.
Yep.
Yep.
You can do that. So make sure you are getting your draft all sorted, ready for the year.
Got a question for the traders? Tweet the boys at AFL Fantasy or head to facebook.com/AFL Fantasy Official.
Plenty of questions at AFL Fantasy on all the major places, X and Instagram. Go and check out the Instagram. Go and give that a follow. And Eddie has done that on Instagram. Hey, boys, is Bont an option?
Yes, and yes.
Yeah, he is. He's potentially 10 points under.
10 points under, no early buy.
Now, I don't know if we probably have roundabout answered this, but Hamish has got what midfielders are an absolute must for round 1. Who would you rank as your number 1 must midfielder? For me, it's Clary.
Yeah, I hate to double up, but Clary for me as well.
Agree, has to be.
Who else is there then? Is it where we start looking at those rookies?
Yeah, I think all those rookies are... Yep, they're must-haves.
Who do you feel like, if you were ranking the rookies, who would be your most must-have?
God, I'm sounding too biased if I go here.
I was going to say it too.
Were you?
Jagger Smith,
yes.
Sid Draper, Lawler, they're all going to play.
Yeah.
Yep. I'm interested in what Levi Ashcroft does. Even Harvey Langford, whether or not he's going to get a spot.
Yeah.
So I think Langford is there.
He looks pretty good.
All right, here's a point of difference for Josh. How's Jack Ross as a potential pod? Calvinator, you are the Tigers expert.
Yeah, training the house down, getting CBAs, doing it all, but at the price of $6.68, it's a no.
Yeah.
Especially at the Tigers.
Yeah.
And you've got a lot of guys in that range where you might feel like... Now, Zach wants to know some premium points of differences, some pods there in the midfield as a premium.
Yeah, we said them earlier, but Jordan Dawson at 4%.
Yeah.
Sarong Butters at 6%.
Yeah.
These guys are still going to get the job done.
They are. So you can actually, because I'm not a big fan of chasing pods for the sake of it, but when you're talking Dawson, Butters as pods, well, that's not reaching at all. They're genuine guns.
Jack Steele, 1%.
Oh, well, there you go.
You know what I mean? Like, these guys, 100%. They're going to do what they did.
Yeah.
What does Jack Steele do?
He's going to do that again. Like, it's a 107. That could even be a little bit more.
That feels like it's bigger than what he did, but he started the year so well, didn't he? He was a weasel.
Oh, he was a weasel.
He was.
That's right.
But there's no reason why he won't go that again.
No, you're right.
All around him over the last few years, except for that blemish of the 98, this is what he does. He's a 110.
Yeah.
There's a price difference here, Roy, but Bailey wants to know Ollie Hollands or Doherty.
Good question.
It's a great question.
Who would you get in your side if you could only have one?
I'm starting to go to Hollands there.
Yeah. It's 140K.
It's 140K, and the role security is in Hollands' favour. So Doherty has still been spending a lot of time on the wing, and it's nothing more than real discussion regarding him going to halfback, and that's been, like, even the club have sort of said it could happen with that Newman thing. If Doherty was guaranteed to be going to halfback, I would say it's the Doc. But at the moment, given the price and the certainty around roles, I think Hollands is the one. Am I being too big on Hollands?
No, I don't think so.
No.
I don't think so.
It's real, isn't it?
Because he's priced
It's an awkward sort of price. Historically.
640 with an average of 62.
Yeah.
And in a role that he did late last year.
I think we've just seen enough that's a massive tick. Are you at all interested in starting him?
Yes.
Right. Dog?
Yeah, he's on the watch list.
Right, okay. Yep. Cool.
There's just a lot
it's
of
Hollands
them. That's
for me.
one of the other sides of it. There is a lot
I
of
feel
them.
like Hollands is nearly the safest out of all those ones we talk about under that blankie.
Yep.
We probably answered this sort of before, but Kai wants to know Rozee versus Taranto. It's Rozee for me.
Yeah, I'm the same.
Yep. It is for me as well.
There is a little bit of a price difference, but not heaps.
So
yeah,
I like the good early draw.
Yep.
I like that Rozee's in a better team. God, looking at ceilings, Taranto's the one that's done it.
If you were chasing a draw from anybody, it's a Port Adelaide midfielder.
Yeah. Okay.
So they go Collingwood, light green, into Richmond, dark green, Essendon, dark green. So, yeah, even...
He's going to get off to a flyer.
They all should. Yeah.
Now, A, which is at Fantasy Fossil, seems like the mid-price a year for midfielders. What do you boys think? Mids of 600k to 800k, rolling with 4 of them and then spending up in defence.
Yeah.
How's that for a
So
strategy?
you'd have 4.
Well, that's me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've got 3, and Clary obviously comes into that bracket as well.
Yeah.
How many have you got, Dog?
I'm probably 3 then.
Yeah.
So I've got the 4, and at the moment it's one extra rookie being sacrificed to do that. I could always get rid of one of the premiums and still run with the 4 and just add another rookie in there.
Yeah.
So I'm very open there, but yeah, I'm with you on that. I reckon there's just mid prices that you're not even really taking a punt. They are all genuine, jets.
Yep.
That have just been out of luck.
Mason here is talking about, can I have an M1 to 3 as Brayshaw, Rozee, Taranto? Yeah, well, that's the Warn Dogs at the minute. If I sacrifice no F1 premium and an underpriced D1 premium. So not go on the top end there, which for a lot of people, I think, and we're going to talk our forwards next week, but I'm happy with McRae as my F1 at the moment. And defensive, that's the position, as we mentioned on the previous podcast, that is the one that's up in the air a bit, I reckon.
The funny thing is, you talked about that draw, right, for the power. Mm-hmm. I feel like we all need some sort of little investment in that. And that's where Hornbag has come back into my team to still get a look at that midfield run that you were talking about.
I like it.
Because otherwise you do need Rozee, I think.
Yeah.
You need someone that's going to be taking advantage of that.
Yeah.
Now, Todd's got this one. Rory Laird, is he a starting option knowing DPP almost looks a lock? Well, Cow, you didn't bring it up, though, but he didn't have great numbers, did he?
I was tempted. I was tempted to go...
You were fanboying it too much.
It wasn't awful.
He averaged 90. I think it was like the last 3 games he went to half-back for an average of 90, which isn't great considering...
But now that he's been doing his study in this
well, that's it.
off-season...
He studied it.
Studying Zorko.
He's trained it all pre-season.
Yeah. Yep.
So it's an interesting one.
It is.
I don't think... Because as Lairdy talks about, their depth and amount of people in that back line that like to have a kick, we're not going to see Zork, everything going through him. But Lairdy's going to average 100 plus, and that's what he's priced at, and he's going to get DPP. Personally, I'm going to wait till round 6 and get him.
Look, yeah, agree.
But there is a world where you could start it, and I think he won't go down in value.
In draft, I think he gets a little bump up because that's coming in round 6.
Yeah.
Now, Todd also asks this, more than any other years, I've gone mid-price drunk with the match sim reports, to the point I only have 1 rookie on the field at M8 and 2 premiums. Help me, traders, you're my only hope. Now, is it silly?
Okay.
The only silly thing I see is because that's where we want these midfield rookies to be making the coin for us.
Content's content, Roy.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And this time of the year, we need to talk about a lot of different players, making sure we've got every corner covered, right?
Yeah.
We always start talking about these mid-price guys, and then we go, maybe this is the year. This could be the year for mid-prices.
Yeah.
Come a few weeks' time, when some rookies are scoring well and they're doing the job, we're like, hey, the difference between Hollands and Jagger Smith, for example, isn't that much.
Yeah.
Right? So what are we doing here? We're going to go back to a guns and rookie strategy.
Yeah.
That's where we always end up. However, there were some good mid-prices last year that we all should have had.
So for me, I've got 4 rookies on the field at the moment.
Yep.
So that's me being extreme by my standards for chasing mid prices. To have just one, I think that's gone a little bit too far. And yes, the traders will save you today. Fix that.
Panayoti says Ollie Hollands versus Caleb Windsor. So we haven't mentioned Caleb Windsor.
We haven't.
That role, he's getting the half-back role, as pointed out here.
That's a great question.
They're both going back there.
They are.
Who's more likely? Hollands just because he's been in the system a bit longer?
Hollands gets the gig out of those two. Mm-hmm. But Windsor is a close watch at the moment.
So he's 35k less than Hollands.
Yeah,
but I like what you say about what Hollands did last year in that role.
Mm.
We haven't seen Windsor in that role yet.
No,
but anyway,
and he'll be good. But no, we've just got more evidence in Holland's favour.
Yep.
Someone did actually. I saw this come up during last week or whatever. Who's this? Lawler that Calvin keeps talking about.
Yep.
Because I don't think that's how you say it, but that's how you pronounce his name.
You do. Yep. Lawler. Lawler.
Is that a robot?
Yes.
Yeah, cool.
Yep. AI generated.
Anyway, the question is, do you go him or Smiley? Smiley's had that hammy.
Smiley's a better scorer.
Yeah.
But Lawler's done all match sim as a mid.
Yeah.
While Smiley stood on the side with a hammy.
So it's flipped him.
It has. It's Lawler over Smiley at the moment.
Right, Maristra. Chad Warner. I'm thinking potentially the DPP play with forward status.
Yeah.
Sounds like he probably will be in the midfield still, though.
It does. So
I wouldn't be going with him as a player to hope for forward status.
No, it's because his upside isn't enough to fall back on if he didn't get it.
Yeah.
So
he's kind of priced fairly.
He is.
That's where
he is.
You know.
Now, the concern with, and I know exactly what he's talking about to be flagging it, because the forward time has been there. The concerning thing about his forward time, it's been a little bit deeper than you'd probably want. Whether that's just been coincidental or whatever, or if it's an actual preview of what his role is going to be. But I don't think we chase that one. No, just make it a wait and see. You could bump him up your draft list a little bit if you think that additional forward status is incoming.
And Cow the Crows, after listening to Lairdy and what he had to say there, we've got those guys Peatling and Cumming at nice prices for what they can do. Where are you sitting with them at the moment? Are they probably going to be in your team or not?
So I think we're crossing Cumming off.
I think so.
Yeah, he didn't sound very positive on that at all.
Wasn't a huge sell, was it?
No.
And we did like him for the potential defender status, but that looks like that's unlikely then.
When he went through all the names...
He's not going to be the boner that we thought.
No, when he went through all the names of the people in the midfield rotation, he mentioned everybody but Peatling.
Yeah.
Right?
Got so
Did
many
he just
names.
forget him?
Probably forgot him.
Peatling,
And then when we brought it up, then his name came to the conversation.
Yeah.
So I don't know... The fact that Peatling isn't at the front of Lairdy's mind is a concern.
Do you know, when he talked about Peatling too, a lot of the conversation was about how much of a threat he is forward.
You heard,
He's
yes.
good
Yep.
goal kicking nous, I believe the word.
Look, we're not
used.
crossing him off with permanent pen yet.
No.
But we keep him in the squad.
But
we keep an eye on
what
him.
had us super interested in Peatling was a lot of talk out of there was that he would be like a 75% CBA guy.
Yes.
And then Lairdy talked about how much they like him forward.
Yep. And named everyone but.
One to watch.
So Lairdy moving to that half back. Have you seen the training reports about Josh Daicos there as well?
What? That is someone that
So
would
he's
ease
priced about
up.
95, I'm pretty sure. So it's maybe too much that I wouldn't be able to go, they've got the early buy. But he's one that could be that draft sleeper off the back of that.
Because he can score.
He can score. Well, just do what his brother did previously off half back.
Surely,
That's Houston, though.
with Houston doing it, they wouldn't waste Daicos. All-Australian winger.
That's what he's been doing, though.
Why? What? Goodness me.
Well, keep an eye on it.
Big watch.
Watch is right.
Lincoln is very astute
Always.
on that one.
all over.
Proper Indy wants to know, is LDU a legit option?
No, because every year we talk about him and he just does what LDU does.
Not unless you just have a sick obsession with hating your team.
No, he just can't do it. He's got to be exactly what he is. There's not really a lot of upside.
Anthony's question here, with all the value in the mids, is a play to go lighter there and then just go heavier in the other lines. It's where some people are going, but geez, some of the value is still with some of the more expensive guys, which is the concern. Because you can't have them all. It's not Pokemon cow. You don't collect them all.
You can't have them all.
But, yeah, I like what he's thinking. It allows you to get overpay for a Shees, for example, by getting a value midfielder.
Yeah.
Well, that's the midfielders.
There you go.
Lots to talk about. There's still a lot more to find out over these next few weeks, I think, especially when we get to the the pracky matches, because that's where we'll see this. It won't be Calvin at training. You have two sets of midfields when
that's
they're
right.
intra-club in it.
Come on.
I think we are doing a good job, though, of narrowing in and just flicking people off as we go. Like, we started the pre-season with hundreds. There was hundreds in the squad.
A squad of 100.
It was hard to manage them all on the field. There's barely any room. But we're getting to a point there. I think we've got a nice extended squad heading into these prackies.
Yep. Use a little favourite star, whether that's on the website at fantasy.afl.com.au or when you get the app, you can do that. And don't forget, you can grab the brand new AFL Draft app, so AFL Fantasy Draft. If you search that up in your app store, you'll be able to grab that and get your league set up, get ready to go. We like to draft close to the start of the season, but now's the time to organise that and lock in your draft day and all of that.
Best day.
For sure. Best day of the year.
Exciting. Thanks so much for tuning in. Follow us everywhere at AFL Fantasy. And if you are listening to this and you're enjoying it, go and give us a follow. We'll be back with plenty more content over the next few weeks.